Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Jon Clay, VP of Threat Intelligence here at Trend Micro. And joining me today is Ed Cabrera, former CISO of the United States Secret Service and now our Chief Cybersecurity Officer. Ed, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, and everybody, I wanted to let you know, we've changed up my format of my Friday morning This Week in Security blog, and we're shifting it to a video series that Ed and I are going to be doing bi-weekly starting now. And basically what the concept is Ed and I, we've been in this industry for many, many years. You know, I've been 25 years. Ed, how long have you been cybersecurity?
Cybersecurity over 20.
Yeah, over 20. So between us, we got a lot of insights that we can share. That's what the plan is. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the research that Trend Micro has published in the last 2 weeks. But also, if there's any hot topics that come up, we may even do one, not sticking to the bi-weekly. We may have interrupted if there's a hot topic that's going around and we want to share our insights with y'all. But today we're going to kick this off. We're not sure what the title yet will be, but we'll get one here shortly. But love to hear any feedback you have, likes, whatever it might be, topics you want us to cover in the future. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. A couple things I wanted to highlight in terms of content that Trend Micro has shared recently. And again, you can go to trendmicro.com. There's a research button at the top that you can pull down and look at blogs and security news and our research section of our site, where we're regularly publishing information for you and educational materials for you about what are the latest threats that are targeting people out there in the world. Probably the biggest one we did is our 2021 annual cybersecurity report. We published that a couple of weeks back, and that gives you insights into all the types of threats that we saw last year that hopefully can give you some good information and help you with dealing with the threats this year, because a lot of them will be the same. We've also been doing a series of spotlights on ransomware gangs. So we've done Conti, we've done Clop, we've done Lockbit. The most recent one was Hive, and we're going to continue publishing those. And they're really good in-depth information, gives you a lot of IOCs and MITRE framework mappings and so forth like that. So those are also good. We also published a report in conjunction with the Organization of American States, the OAS, if you're familiar with them. They basically it's a United States-led organization that looks at Latin America, South America countries, along with Canada and the US. And we published a report that looks at a lot of the threats in those regions. So, Ed, any other comments you want to make about some of this stuff?
No, I mean, I think the one thing I would say is that we always have an abundance of research that's coming out that's either threat related or threat focused, and also from the vulnerability side, right? So I think us getting together every 2 weeks is going to be a great way for us to sort of talk about what's in the headlines, talk about what's happening in the industry, maybe talk about the why people should care on certain topics and issues, and then also highlighting some of the great research that we have going on.
Yeah, and in fact, we published just today a report, or actually it's a series of two-part blog series on ICS vulnerabilities. So if you deal with ICS devices in your organization, that's a good series to start looking at. And also, what a lot of people may not realize, we have a consumer side of our business. And if you go to the website, you'll see the For Home section, and there's a blog there that has a lot of good information. We recently published a bunch of articles on scams that we're seeing, cryptocurrency scams, romance scams, tax scams is the big one right now. So take a look at those as well if you have family and friends that you want to target, and those are good as well. So Ed, let's talk about Lapsus. I know that one's been in the news quite a bit. It's been very interesting to follow this story, so to speak, right? They supposedly were able to access Okta and Microsoft, and there were some arrests made, I believe, right? Being a Secret Service guy, you're former law enforcement. Thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've done a much better job over the last, and I say we being the law enforcement community, international law enforcement community, of really working together and really identifying as quickly as we possibly can, not only the folks that are actually conducting active breaches and campaigns, but also even identifying individuals that have done it in the past. I mean, I think the biggest challenge for law enforcement is the last mile. It's the true identity of these individuals. So here we had around, I think, 7 that were actually arrested, ages from 16 to 21. So it's funny, we constantly are talking about that the kid in the hoodie is not the what we're dealing with. And then we have, this young crew, literally young crew being arrested that has been conducting these attacks. And so we always know that oftentimes it's a tip of the iceberg, right? That even if some arrests are made, we definitely understand and realize that there's active individuals that are still working either behind the scenes or possibly haven't been arrested yet. So I would say the 7 have been arrested.
Yeah, I think even today, Ed, we heard some news that there might be there attacks happening again out of this group. But what's interesting to me, and you bring up an interesting point, is a lot of these hackers today seem to be getting younger and younger. I know we've done research and work with some law enforcement agencies in Africa, and a lot of those hackers that do a lot of the business email compromise, romance scams, et cetera, are quite young Africans. And it's an interesting thing of why maybe we might be seeing the younger generations getting into hacking or getting into cyber Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, unfortunately, you have wherever part of, the world that we're talking about, you have young kids, some that have either some interest and aptitude and or some skill sets that they've developed and either taught by themselves or, been part of some kind of program. In the lure of being or making a lot of money, from the cybercrime perspective, is really tempting to them, and so it's almost hard for them to say no. How quickly and easily they can make money. So I think it's not a surprise, and I think what's happening is that this whole evolution of cyber criminal undergrounds creating very easy on ramps for the skilled and non-skilled kids to be able to get into and conducting some of these criminal campaigns.
Yeah, well, I think one of the challenges is a lot of these kids don't have a safe place to go or a legitimate place to go to build their skills, right? So, obviously back in the day, a lot of us in the industry, older folks in the industry, got our start hacking, right? And so I think there's a lot of people that, maybe their thought process is, well, kids are going to be kids, teenagers are going to be teenagers and do things like that. But I think if we gave them a environment that allowed them to be creative and utilize those skills and learn those skills in some way. So I think education needs to shift, right? So maybe not so much the formal education you get today in schools, where now you can maybe branch out and get some way that these kids that like computers, like technology, can maybe grow their skills that way. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I really think that everything has to change, right? Because everything dovetails into other issues that we have. We have a cyber skills gap where 500,000 job openings are not filled, right? Because there's just a lack of individuals to fill that pipeline. And so you have that challenge, but then you have, which really speaks to, okay, how are we doing that normally? And so I think we've made a lot of progress with kids that are like in college, being and providing cybersecurity programs that they can get into in undergraduate and graduate programs. There's capture the flag, competitions, globally, nationally, and regionally that the kids can get into. I think what we need to really focus is on the K through 12 piece, right? Because I think it's them obviously developing the skill set, but really the aptitude and interest, really focusing on the hard and soft skills, but then giving, like you said, giving them an ecosystem to where they can actually sort of learn in a safe environment and identify areas where they can really, really grow into. And they can make a lot of money, obviously, as we know, in our industry, you have a lot of these positions where you don't need college degrees, you don't need higher education. A lot of the times you just need this knowledge and skill set to be able to get into these entry level positions.
Yeah, and I think we need to have a shift from the mentality of the business owners and businesses to look at their hiring practices and who they're looking to hire, right? Maybe not so much formal education, but maybe people that have that skill set already or aptitude and are interested. I mean, the biggest thing is just having an interest and being, curious about doing things. But, one of the things, Ed, that a lot of people may not realize is we've been running an internet safety for kids and family program for 10 plus years now. And it kind of brings up this idea of, are we teaching the kids, the K through 12s, proper digital citizenship, ethics? Because if a 16-year-old goes out and hacks Microsoft, I'm not sure about the ethics there. Who's teaching them how to do things productively, right? And like you said, I mean, with 500,000, I think there's 3 million openings worldwide in cybersecurity. And a lot of those jobs are very well-paying jobs. And so I think it's just more of awareness and getting that information out there, but also the hiring practices need to maybe lighten up a little bit and not get so bogged down into, do you have to have a BS in XYZ, or do you need to have 5 years of experience or something? But, a lot of these people, as we know, kids learn very fast and very quickly. So you drop them in something and something they're enjoying, they're going to learn it very fast, and they're going to thrive in those kind of environments.
No, definitely. So, it's truly digital natives, right? We have kids that are growing up with mobile devices, iPhones, and so forth, and have this uncanny ability to adapt and really sort of flourish on with technology. And so the idea, to your point, is really teaching them like the ethics behind it, right? Really getting them in the K through 12, not only honing their skills on the technology side, but also honing, hey, this is what the lanes in the road are, and this is what's right and what's wrong, and this is how you need to protect yourself, and how some things you shouldn't be doing, right? But right. I think getting back to them working on going even further is there's different things that are happening, right? So we've had here in the United States for quite some time. It's called the Cyber Core program. It's the NSA and DHS basically sponsor students into undergraduate and graduate school for their studies. So it's essentially a scholarship, but how they pay back that, well, it's not really a scholarship. It's essentially you have to pay for that schooling by doing a commensurate amount of time in the federal government space. And so what we need to do is transition and really engage private industry to almost do the same thing, create opportunities where there is a pipeline from high school into even these entry-level jobs. And so, we talk about signing days for kids that are entering either the NBA or Major League Baseball and so forth like that. We need to have these signing days for major corporations to sign up really good talent that's growing, that really doesn't have to, or they can partner on their higher education, right, as they go forward. So yeah, I think we really need to change the way we do things. It's not necessarily that not a want, but it's just have to change the will, right, for both sides to come together. Higher education, employers really to start talking the same language.
Yeah, agreed. Well, this has been a good discussion, Ed. I think we're coming up on our time. We're trying to keep these short and brief for the audience so they can just ingest it and then go about their way. Any last thoughts?
No, I think here, kids, the one thing I would say also, apprenticeship programs and pre-apprenticeship programs is something that's growing in cybersecurity. That's my last thought. But I think this is great. This is going to be fun. Every 2 weeks, we're going to be able to talk about the topics at hand and really talk about what's happening in the industry and what's happening around the industry. So I look forward to
Yeah,
it.
and if you want to keep abreast of the latest happenings, again, go to trendmicro.com. You can go to our blog in that research button, and you'll see a blog there. You'll see security news. You'll see our research button there, and you can get all that information that we have. And like I said, we publish stuff daily almost about things that are happening. So just hopefully you join us on our journey here. Ed and I are going to have a fun time talking about stuff. Again, we'd love to hear from you, the audience, about if there's any topics you'd love us to take on in the future weeks. We'd love to do so. So everybody have a great day, and we'll talk soon. See you, Ed. Thanks a lot.
See ya, John.